Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alan Wen. I'm the founder and broker of Golden Gate Realty and Finance here in the Bay Area. Our work is actually very simple, but extremely important. We help families make the most expensive and most life changing decisions correctly. We are a full service real estate and finance platform. What we do includes real estate buying and investment strategy. So you don't just buy a house, you buy the right house. Loan and financing structure, primary homes, investment properties, jumbo and non-QM, and long-term family wealth planning. So even in a high-cost market like the Bay Area, you can still build real assets safely and consistently. I've lived and worked in the Bay Area for many years. Earlier in my career, I spent over a decade in high tech at Oracle, Yahoo, and Microsoft. But I later realized something very important. For most families, your wealth ceiling over the next 10 years is not determined by your salary. It's determined by whether you made the right real estate and financing decision at the right time with the right structure. And that's why we're here today. Today, we're covering one of the biggest Bay Area questions that affects your finances, your lifestyle, and your family's future. Buy versus rent in 2026. Which one is actually smarter? Let me be very clear. This is not a sales pitch. This is a numbers first, reality first session designed to help you make a confident decision. Because in the Bay Area, most people are not making a wrong decision. They're making an uncalculated decision. And here's the golden rule: numbers remove fear. Structure creates freedom. So today, we're going to calculate it. And by the end, you'll know exactly what your next step should be. Here's what you're going to get out of this session. First, you'll walk away with a reusable decision framework, not based on opinions, not based on headlines, but based on math. Second, we're going to break down the real monthly costs of both owning and renting, not just the mortgage, not just the rent, the full truth. Third, we'll talk about opportunity cost, taxes, inflation, and risk. These are the hidden forces most people ignore, and that's why they regret decisions later. And finally, you'll find your break even point, that moment where buying starts to outperform renting. So by the end, you won't be guessing, you'll be deciding. Before we jump into the numbers, let's do a quick poll in your own mind. A, you're currently renting. B, you already own. C, you want to buy but you're unsure. D, you own and you're thinking about upgrading. Whatever your answer is, you're in the right place. Because today is not about one correct outcome. It's about helping you choose the best strategy for your situation. Now let's talk about why this topic feels so difficult in the Bay Area. Here's the truth about the Bay Area. This is why so many people feel stuck. Home prices are high, interest rates are high, and the worst part is rent is not cheap either, and it keeps going up. So people feel trapped on both sides. And then life adds pressure, job changes, layoffs, entrepreneurship, uncertainty, kids, schools, commute, family expectations. So in the Bay Area, this decision is not just financial, it's psychological. Because when everything feels expensive and the future feels unstable, people freeze. They stay renting, not because it's the best strategy, but because it feels safer in the short term. But here's what most people don't realize: short term comfort can turn into long term costs. So today, we're not here to judge anybody. We're not here to push you to buy. We're here to replace fear with clarity, replace confusion with structure. And we're going to start with a simple model. To make this decision properly, we have to look at 5 variables, not one, not two, all 5. Because buy versus rent is not a monthly payment decision, it's a strategy decision. So here's the 5 variable model we'll use today. Number 1, monthly cash flow. Can you comfortably afford the payment without stress, without stretching, without gambling on the future? Number 2, opportunity cost. Where does your money grow faster? Inside the house or outside the house in investments? Number 3, tax impact. What are the real tax implications for you? Deductions, limits, and capital gains rules. Number 4, price trends and cycles. Not guessing, not headlines. Understanding the structure, supply, demand, and interest rates. And number 5, risk and flexibility. How long do you plan to stay? How stable is your career and your life situation? Because time horizon changes everything. Now, here's the key problem in the Bay Area. Most people focus on only one variable, the payment. And when you only look at one variable, you'll always feel confused. So today, we look at all 5. So your decision becomes simple, not emotional, not stressful, simple. Now, let's start with owning. What is the true monthly cost of owning beyond just the mortgage? Owning is not just the mortgage. Yes, principal and interest. That's the part everyone sees, but that's only the first layer. You also have property tax, homeowners insurance, required, and in many Bay Area communities, HOA. And then there's the cost that almost nobody budgets for until it hits them: maintenance, roofs, plumbing, electrical foundation, appliances, unexpected repairs. Let me be very direct. Owning is a full system. And if you only calculate the mortgage payment, you're not doing a real budget. You're doing wishful thinking. So here's the key mindset I want you to remember. The house is not expensive to buy. The house is expensive to own. And that's not a bad thing. It just means you have to be structured. Now, before anyone thinks renting is simple and safe, don't worry. Renting also has hidden costs. Let's look at that next. Renting looks simple, but it's not as simple as people think. Yes, you pay rent, but rent is not fixed. Rent goes up, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly. So when you rent, you're not locking in a housing cost. You're accepting uncertainty. And then there are moving costs, another hidden layer: deposits, time, relocation stress, commute changes, and for families, school changes for kids. But here's the biggest hidden cost of renting: the cost that quietly decides your long term future. If you rent and you don't invest the difference, you build zero equity. Let me say that again because this is important. Renting is not automatically bad. Renting can absolutely be a smart strategy, but only if it comes with discipline, only if it comes with investing, because rent without investing becomes pure consumption. So the question is not, is renting cheaper this month? The real question is, what does your strategy build over time? Now let's compare the numbers directly with a real Bay Area style example. Now let's use a realistic Bay Area example. Same home, same neighborhood, same lifestyle, a $1.5 million home with 20% down. If you buy it, owning could easily be $8,500 to $11,000 per month, depending on interest rate, property tax, insurance, HOA, and maintenance reserve. If you rent that same type of home, you might be paying $5,000 to $6,500 per month. And at this point, many people mentally stop right here. They look at the monthly number and conclude, rent wins, buying is crazy. But that's the trap, because what you're looking at is only the front end cost. You're not looking at the back end outcome. You're comparing payment, but you're not comparing the wealth impact. And that's why I want you to remember this line. Buying is not just a payment decision. Buying is a structured decision. So in the next slide, I'm going to show you the mindset shift, the exact reason why so many smart people don't buy even when the numbers say they could. This is a big one. A lot of people don't buy, not because they can't, but because they misunderstand how buying actually works. They think buying requires huge cash. Myth number one, you must save enough to pay cash. That's false. Myth number two, you must have 20% down. Not necessarily. Here's the truth. If you have 3% to 20% down and you have sustainable cash flow, you may already be fully qualified. And I want you to hear this clearly. Mortgage is not something that makes people weak. Mortgage is what gives ordinary families leverage over time. It's not a debt trap. It's a time tool. It allows you to enter the asset system today, instead of waiting 10 years trying to save everything in cash while prices and rent keep moving higher. And now we have to clarify something important. Not all debt is the same. Not all financing is equal. That's the next slide. Let's make one thing very clear. Debt is not the enemy. Debt is just a tool. The real problem is not debt itself. The problem is what you use debt for. Bad debt is financing consumption. Credit cards are the worst example because they create compounding interest against you. It's like running on a treadmill, but the treadmill is moving backward. Car loans are not always bad, but they are financing a depreciating asset. You drive it off the lot and the value goes down. Mortgages are different. A mortgage finances an appreciating asset, an asset that historically rises over the long term. So here's the real lesson. Debt isn't the enemy. Using debt for the wrong purpose is. If you borrow to consume, you get poorer. If you borrow to build assets, you can get stronger over time. Now the question becomes, where exactly does ownership win long term? Let's break it down. Here's where ownership wins long term. Not through one thing, through 5 forces working together. Force number 1, equity. Every principal payment is forced savings. It's not exciting, but it's powerful because you're building ownership every single month. Force number 2, appreciation. Over time, Bay Area real estate has historically grown. Cycles happen, pullbacks happen, but long-term scarcity is real. Force number three, inflation hedge. Owning helps you lock future housing costs. Rent follows the market. A fixed mortgage makes the market follow you. Force number four, tax benefits. It's not automatic and it's case by case. But for the right household structure, it can be a meaningful advantage. And force number five, stability. Family stability, school stability, lifestyle stability. That's not just emotional value, that's decision value. And this is why I always say buying a home is not a get rich quick plan. Buying a home is a family stabilizer. You're not only buying a property, you're buying long term structure. Now, here comes the most advanced idea in this entire presentation, opportunity cost. Buy versus rent is not really about monthly payment. It's about one question: where does your money work harder? Because this decision isn't simply buy versus rent. It's really this: housing asset return versus rent plus investment return. If you buy, your down payment is working inside the home. It becomes part of an appreciating asset. If you rent, your down payment stays liquid and it can work in the market. So the down payment is not the issue. The question is, does it work harder in the house or in investments? And here's the rule. This is the rule that decides everything. If you rent, you must invest the difference. Because if you rent and you spend the difference, renting becomes pure expense. Renting can win, but it only wins when paired with discipline. Buying can win, but it only wins when paired with cash flow safety. Now, the next big question people ask is, rates are high. Does that mean we should wait? Let's answer that. Answer. High interest rates are both a cost and an opportunity. Yes, higher rates create higher monthly payments. That's real. We don't deny it. But here's what most people miss. High rates also reduce competition. Fewer buyers, less bidding wars, more negotiation power. So high rates don't just change affordability, they change the game. And here's the most important mindset shift. Buying a home is not a one-step event. It's a three-step strategy. Step one, buy with a safe structure, not the maximum you qualify for. The payment you can handle comfortably. Step two, stabilize cash flow, build reserves, keep life flexible, don't overstretch. Step three, if rates drop, you may have the chance to refinance and optimize, not guaranteed, but possible. And this is the key line. Rates determine today's payment, but price determines lifetime cost. And that's why I always say you marry the price, you date the rate. So you don't need to buy at the lowest rate. You need to buy at the safest cash flow. Now, let's stop guessing where prices will go next. Instead, let's understand the Bay Area structure. Let's be clear. Bay Area real estate has cycles. It can pull back, it can slow down, it can correct. That's normal. But here's what's also true. The long-term structure is still powerful because in the Bay Area, the best homes in the best areas don't become more available. They become more scarce. Land is limited, permits are slow, population density stays high. So even when demand pauses temporarily, supply does not magically catch up. And here's the part most people underestimate. When rates drop, demand comes back fast. But inventory cannot increase fast enough. So the real question is not, will it go up or down? That's a beginner question. A better question is, how deep is the pullback? How fast is the recovery? And can you hold safely? Because here's the truth. In Bay Area real estate, you don't win by predicting. You win by holding. Let me say that again. You don't win by timing the market. You win by surviving the market. You're not betting on the market. You're betting on your ability to hold long term. And when you have holding power, cycles become noise. But without holding power, even a good home becomes stress. Now, let's talk about the silent force most people ignore, but it quietly destroys renters over time: inflation. Renting pain is not just cost. Renting pain is uncertainty. How much will rent go up next year? Nobody knows. Will the landlord renew your lease? Nobody knows. Will you be forced to move again? Nobody knows. Will your kids need to switch schools? Nobody knows. Renting means your housing life is controlled by the market. Buying is different. Principal and interest are mostly fixed. Yes, taxes and insurance can change, but the structure becomes far more predictable and controllable. Rent follows inflation. Ownership defends against inflation. Buying is not just purchasing a home. It's locking in a 10 to 30-year housing cost structure. Here's the gold line. Rent is inflation's customer. Ownership is inflation's hedge. Next, let's talk about taxes. I'll keep it practical and simple because this part matters more than most people realize. Taxes are not about getting rich. Taxes are about avoiding expensive mistakes. Let me simplify this into 4 practical points. Number 1, mortgage interest may be deductible. depending on your situation. Not everyone gets the same benefit, but for the right household, it can reduce real cost. Number two, property tax deductions have limits. In California, your property tax may be high, but what you can actually deduct is capped, so don't assume I'll get it all back. You won't. Number three, the biggest tax advantage is often not deductions, it's the exit strategy. When you sell your primary home, the capital gains exclusion can be massive, up to $250,000 for single or $500,000 for married, as long as you meet the conditions. Number four, tax outcomes vary heavily by income type, W-2. Self-employed, business owners, totally different game. That's why we always evaluate buy versus rent with your income structure, not just with a generic calculator. So here's the key takeaway. Tax benefits won't make you rich. Tax benefits help you stop leaking wealth quietly every year. And here's the gold line I want you to remember. The real tax advantage is not what you deduct, it's what you never have to pay. Now, after talking about all these benefits, we must talk about risk, because I'd rather you buy right than buy fast. Owning is powerful, but only when the cash flow is safe. Let's break down the real risks next. Owning is powerful, but let's be honest. It's not risk-free. The biggest risk is not the market. The biggest risk is cash flow, because when life is stable, a mortgage is a tool. But when life gets shaky, that same mortgage can become pressure. Here are the main risks every buyer needs to respect. Number one, income volatility. If your job or business cash flow is unstable, your payment becomes stress. Number two, maintenance surprises, roofs, plumbing, electrical, foundation. Repairs will happen. It's not if, it's when. Number three, HOA risk. Special assessments can hit hard and you don't control the decision. Number four, market pullbacks. Short-term volatility is normal, but if you're forced to sell during a pullback, that's where people get hurt. So here's the rule I want you to remember. This is the line that saves families. If cash flow can't handle it, the house becomes a risk asset. Let me say it again. A home is only an asset if you can hold it. That's why buying should never be emotional. Buying must be structured. Now, we take everything we've learned so far and convert it into the most useful page in today's session, your buying threshold, your decision framework. Let's summarize everything into one simple decision framework. This is not really about buy versus rent. It's about your stability, your cash flow safety, and your time horizon. Here's the first rule. If you plan to stay 5 to 7 years or longer, your income is stable, you have 6 to 12 months of reserves, and the monthly payment is safe, then buying often makes sense, because time is what turns a house into an asset. But if you might move in 1 to 3 years, cash flow is tight, or income is uncertain, then renting can be the smarter move. And now here's the golden rule. Please remember this. Renting is not the problem. Renting without investing is the problem. If you rent and invest the difference, you can still win. But if you rent and spend the difference, then you're not renting. You're simply consuming. Buying should never be an emotional decision. Buying must be a structured decision. So the real bottom line is not, can you buy? The real bottom line is, can you buy safely and hold long enough to win? Here's the key line I want everyone to remember. Survive first, win later. Now, if that makes sense, let me show you the nuclear example, the one that changes how people understand leverage. 5% down. Let me show you the most misunderstood math in real estate. This is the nuclear example. 5% down. Let's keep it simple. Home price, $1 million. 5% down means you put in $50,000. Now watch this. If that home goes up just 5%, 1 million becomes 1,050,000. That's a $50,000 gain. Pause. You only put in 50,000. So what's your return on the down payment? It's not 5%, it's 100%. This is the power of leverage. This is the entire point of a mortgage. Here's the mindset shift. A mortgage is not a sign of weakness. A mortgage is a tool that multiplies your capital. Gold quote. Remember this. You don't need more money. You need the right structure. Because when the asset moves, you don't earn on the full price. You earn on what you put in. That's why homeowners build wealth quietly. Not because they are smarter, but because they are inside the asset system. And let me make this crystal clear. Leverage is not magic. Leverage is a magnifier. It magnifies returns and it magnifies mistakes. So the winning formula is not low down payment. The winning formula is low down payment plus safe cash flow. Second gold quote, leverage makes you rich only if it doesn't make you broke first. Now let's finish this battle with the most real comparison possible. 10 years renting versus 10 years owning. Let's look at outcomes, not emotions. Here's the harsh truth. If you rent for 10 years in the Bay Area, you could easily pay hundreds of thousands, sometimes over $1 million, in rent. And what do most people get at the end? No equity, no asset, no forced savings, just 10 years gone. Now compare that with ownership. If you own for 10 years, even if the market is not perfect, even if appreciation is slow, you still built something in the background. Every month, part of your payment becomes equity. That is forced savings. And if the home appreciates even modestly, you also capture upside. So after 10 years, a renter usually ends with a receipt. An owner often ends with an asset. Let me say it in one sentence that you should remember forever. Renting is paying to live. Owning is paying to build. In the same 10 years, renting is expense, owning is expense plus savings, and potentially investment growth. A home won't make you rich overnight, but it can protect you from becoming poor slowly. Because here's the real danger. Most people don't lose money in one big mistake. They lose money in 10 years of doing nothing. So the question is not, can I buy? The question is, can I buy safely? And can I hold long enough for time to work for me? Now let's do one final poll so you can identify your next step clearly. Now let's finish this battle with the most real comparison possible. 10 years renting versus 10 years owning. Let's look at outcomes, not emotions. This poll matters more than the first one. A, I should buy. B, I should keep renting. C, I should rent, but invest. D, I'm not sure. I need to run my numbers. And let me be very honest with you. D is not a weak answer. D is the smartest answer in this entire room. Because your life will not change just because you understood this session. Your life changes when you run your real numbers and you make a safe move. Here's the gold line. Clarity beats confidence. Numbers beat emotions. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you something extremely practical, a simple buy versus rent analysis, customized to your situation so you can stop guessing. Because in the Bay Area, the winners aren't the ones who time the market. The winners are the ones who understand their numbers and act with structure. I'm offering a free 20-minute buy versus rent analysis, not a generic talk, not a sales pitch, your real numbers, your real life, your real strategy. Because here's what I've learned after working with so many Bay Area families. Most people don't lose because the market is too hard. They lose because they don't have a decision system. And this is psychology. When the numbers are unclear, your brain defaults to fear. When the path is unclear, people choose delay. And delay feels safe. But it is often the most expensive decision. So I want to give you something powerful. Clarity. In this session, we'll calculate four things. First, your safe buying range, not the maximum you can qualify for, because banks approve maximum, but wealthy families operate on safe. Second, your best down payment strategy, 3%, 5%, 10%, or 20%, because down payment is not just money, it's a risk control tool. Third, the best loan structure for your cash flow, 30-year fixed, ARM, combo loan, PMI optimization, because payment is not a number, payment is stress level. Fourth, we'll run a tax and insurance risk check because in Bay Area, the deal doesn't break at the price. It breaks at the surprises. Now, here's the management lesson. A home purchase is not a one-time decision. It's a long-term project, and every good project needs structure. So here's the truth. You don't lack a home, you lack a plan. Same city, same rates, same market. Some families build wealth, some families get stuck. The difference is not luck, the difference is structure. And here's the line I want you to remember. You don't get rich by making perfect decisions. You get rich by avoiding expensive mistakes. If you still feel, I can't afford it, let me tell you something. That feeling is normal. I used to feel the exact same way when I was younger. But later I discovered the truth. Most people are not blocked by money. They're blocked by uncertainty. They don't know their numbers. They don't know their options. And they don't know what's actually safe. Here's the reality. Many people are more qualified than they think. They just never had someone run the math clearly with them. And this is a huge mindset shift. A mortgage is a time tool. You don't need to save until you can pay cash. You need the right structure and safe cash flow. Let me give you the gold line for tonight. You don't need a perfect market. You need a safe plan. So if you want clarity, I'm offering a free buy versus rent analysis session. It's 20 minutes, not a generic talk, your real numbers. Here's the link, calendly.com, Goldengate 365. You can scan the QR code on the screen. It will open instantly on your phone. If you're ready, take your phone out and do it now. If you need more time, simply take a photo and save it. Don't wait for the market to become friendly. Build the structure that makes you unbeatable, because the first people who win are not the richest. They're the earliest ones who calculate correctly and move. Let me clarify what this free analysis really is. It's not pressure, it's not sales, it's not let's convince you to buy. It's more like a doctor reading your report, because in real estate, the biggest cost is not the home. The biggest cost is a wrong decision. Buying wrong is expensive, but let me be honest. Waiting without investing is also expensive because inflation charges rent on your future. So this analysis helps you answer three critical questions clearly, calmly, and with your actual numbers. Number one, should you buy or not? Not emotionally, structurally. Number two, if yes, what price is safe and sustainable? Not maximum approval, not bank says yes, but life says yes. Number three, if not, what should you do with your money? So inflation doesn't silently destroy your purchasing power year after year. Here's the key truth. The biggest risk in life is not buying a home. The biggest risk is that 10 years pass and nothing changes. Same job, same rent, same stress, same maybe next year. So today is not about making a fast decision. It's about making a correct decision. And correct decisions come from one thing, clarity. Let me close with this. In the Bay Area, the people who win are not the smartest. They are the ones who decide early and structure correctly. Here are three truths. Number one, buying is not the goal. Buying right is the goal. The right home, the right loan structure, the right protection. Because in the Bay Area, the home is expensive, but the mistake is even more expensive. Number two, mortgage is not a chain. Mortgage is a wealth tool when used responsibly. It's not about debt, it's about using time as leverage. Used correctly, it gives ordinary families one unfair advantage. You build equity while you live. Number three, cash flow comes first. Stability wins, always, because your home should never create fear. Your home should create peace. If the payment steals your sleep, it's not a blessing, it's a burden. So here's the one sentence I want you to remember. Don't buy the most you can qualify for. Buy the most you can hold safely. And remember this, rent is temporary comfort. Ownership is long-term control. The market doesn't reward people who wait. The market rewards people who prepare. So don't ask me, Alan, is it a good time? Ask a better question. Can my cash flow handle it safely? Can my strategy survive the market? If you want clarity, don't guess, don't hope, don't fear, run your numbers. Scan the QR code, book a free 20-minute analysis. I'll help you find your real threshold, your safest structure, and your best next step. Because the biggest risk is not buying a home. The biggest risk is 10 years passing and you're still stuck. Thank you. And I'll see you in the analysis session.